Welcome, everybody. I'm Scott Patton, and this is Books Cafe, presented by free-ebooks.net. I've got a very exciting guest today, someone who's been in the book publishing industry for a long time. We don't want to actually say how long because you might think he's as old as I am, and we wouldn't want that. And before we bring him on, I just want to take a moment and show you free-ebooks.net. They're the people that bring us on, and you can get 5 free ebooks every month, or you can become a VIP and get unlimited. And we've got our editors hard at work getting new books set up for you. We've got so many categories. If there's something that you want, we've got it, and it's great. Reading is such a powerful way to grow your knowledge and relax, as opposed to watching TV and getting stressed out. So we've got a list of great books. We've got books on all sorts of topics that we've bundled together for you, and we've got our latest arrivals. And our show today is all about why it's such a great time to be an author. It's so I'm not going to say it's easy to do anything, because it's not easy to do anything unless when it's your first time. When you've done it a couple hundred times, then you might think that it is. But certainly, growing an audience today is way different than it was 30 or 40 years ago. So with that, I want to welcome our guest, Warren Whitlock. Welcome to the show.
Hi, glad to be here. Let's talk books.
Let's talk books. You wrote one of the first books on Twitter, I believe.
Right. Well, I didn't actually write it on Twitter. That would be a little hard to fit it all in there. But the first book about Twitter, called Twitter Revolution, which interestingly enough was really big for a year and a half. And then something called Twitter Revolution in Iran happened. So go ahead and try Googling it, but make sure you put my name or you won't find it. It's still on Amazon, and still relevant, because we were talking about how this century is going to be different about having to have a two-way conversation. And you just mentioned about building an audience. Well, that's something authors didn't used to think about. You'd write the book and send it off, and maybe something would happen, maybe it wouldn't. And today it's really up to the author whether or not they're a success.
So I never really got into looking at book publishing until the last, let's just say, decade. I'm not that I am a book publisher or a writer or anything. I'm a writer, but I haven't written a book that I can say, here's a book.
That's okay, I am. I'll take care of that.
That's right.
Just send me a manuscript.
But so I'm kind of interested in a little bit of history here, Warren. If you were an author in, say, let's just say 1965 or 1975, what would be the process for your book becoming, let's just say, well-known? Let's not say a bestseller, but just say well-known.
Well, I'll say it's pretty much like how it is in the movies about somebody with a legal pad or a manual typewriter. And more often than not, they would write first and then type, and that kind of thing. And it goes back, let me go back a little bit further. I see numbers at 1950. I'm not quite that old, but so I can say about the time I was born, there were 1 million books that, ever had been out there. A lot of them not in print. And I think there were 50,000 in print, if I remember the number right. And so what has changed is over the time you would send your manuscript off to the publisher. And then, of course, there wouldn't be a photocopy. You'd be guarding that with your life. So in the movies where somebody gets, mad and throws the manuscript out the window or in a fire, that's it. It's gone. And today, of course, thanks to word processing, backup files and, photocopying, you don't throw away books unless you're really crazy, because every piece of content has some value or potential value for later. So what changed is, instead of depending on somebody in New York City deciding whether or not your book made it or not, it became something you could do yourself. So fast forward to the 90s, I was in the business of repairing laser printers. And laser printers came out in the 80s, really became on everybody's desk in an office in the 90s. Inkjets were still just coming around, and a laser printer would cost a couple of $1,000s, but once you had one, you could print something. And copiers got really good. So you'd always make a copy of everything, even a handwritten manuscript. And you didn't need carbon paper anymore. You were able to get a copy of it. And then something called print on demand happened. And that's the ability to format something like a book and put it through a laser printer and a cover, and especially the soft covers. The hard covers could be done. It was a little bit different process, but it was a machine, and you push the button, and by 2005, you push a button, you have a book come out the other end, and it could be one copy or 1,000 copies. And actually, what that changes is the cost per copy is maybe a little bit more than running a printing press. Back then, they were telling me about 1,000. It would definitely be a lot cheaper to set up to print them. But and Amazon was smart. They bought a company called CreateSpace, and they were able to print any book on demand. So you could take your back titles, whatever you want, and put them into the system. There's book. So far, we're just talking about books. Then, 2007, I think it was, the Kindle came out. And so my Twitter book was a big seller on Kindle, though not huge because first of all, it's a business book that you don't get hundreds of thousands or millions of copy unless it's very, very rare. Maybe 10 books a year get the number, really make money off of them. And but we were able to deliver the files to Amazon. They got available on Kindle, and we sold it that way. And of course, eBooks, you could download a book, and just anybody can do that. If you can put you probably don't want to be in word processing format, but every word processor has a PDF option, print to PDF, and now you've got a file that you can lock or share or do whatever you want. And what I found back then is when I was working with authors, is most of them wanted to make sure their story got told. I did mostly nonfiction. So in that case, it was, I'm an expert at this. I want the world to know what I've been teaching and go to a wider audience, and it's good for business. A speaker will make 60% more if they have a book, and then just basically anybody needs leads. We did all sorts of things where somebody, interested in better finances for their business. I'm publisher of a book. It still sells a couple of copies a month, and how to get financing for your small business, and those kind of things. Then the value of having the book is not in how many copies you sell,
how many customers you get.
But a fiction author has a story to tell and wants to share it. We all dream of being able to be like 50 Shades of Grey, where basically fan fiction kind of thing. I don't know if you call that fan fiction or not, because I don't think it was based on any other novel. But people write stories that extend Star Wars or Harry Potter, and or in such a way that they don't get copyright infringement. I'm not here to talk about that part. And they love this, and they love to blog, and they love to share. Most podcasters are doing it because they want to share. And so same motivation, that they have things they want to tell people about. And at that point, how many people do you want to have read the book? It's not like I want to sell 1 million copies so I'll make $1 million. It's, we all like that. That's be good. But I want my book to get out there. And that changes things for the publishing industry, because now publishers go with who has a platform. Because publishers never built the audience for you, but now they're lazy. They figured out that if you have a big audience, they want the book. And that's what happened with 50 Shades of Grey is a great example of that.
So Warren, when you're one of the things I think that's changed over the decades is the fact that when you wrote a book before, if the publisher liked it, then they would make a bunch of copies and it would be in all these bookstores. And then the people that want to read books would go into the bookstore. They didn't really have much choice but to buy your book, or, you know, I mean, they had choice, but it wasn't like they had millions of choices. If you wanted history,
the numbers,
history books there. And so you really, that's the way that you got your sales. Sure. And of course, now there's other ways that you can get the books out there. And so just having it on the shelf isn't enough.
I forgot to say the numbers at the end of this. You know, it started out with 50,000 books in print when I was born. Now it's something like, 2005 when I was working on really what took to be a bestseller and such. It was 1 million books in print and more wanting to. There was always 10 times as many people trying to get, maybe 100 times as many people with a manuscript, a half-finished manuscript, trying to get a deal, trying to get an agent. Then Kindle came out. And now there are, I think the last, I haven't done this in better part of a decade. So I recall the last numbers I saw was something like 11 million books came out in a year, because you can write a book, so you can publish a book so easily. So when I'm talking about this, one thing you got to keep in mind is I'm not talking about you spent your life putting together research and you summed it up in a book or a reference book, or, the kind of thing that has been heavily footnoted and, academic and those kind of things. So there's still room for some of that stuff, although it's finished too. I'm talking
right now, Warren, there are 6 million Kindle books. There are 6 million Kindle books right now.
Is there? Okay.
On Amazon.
That sounds
according to Google.
According to Google. Interesting. I think there's more. Hey,
Stan, good to see you.
Nice to have someone in the chat to know they're here. Ask a question. Happy to answer your question.
All right. So what do authors that are starting out have to do now to get found and get known?
Oh, well, now it's easy. First of all, I say start publishing something right away. You can create a podcast or a blog, or start writing longer articles on Medium and whatnot. Depends, if fiction, I can't think of what it would be, but let's just say blog. And tell a story. Get people involved and start building a community. Do that immediately. And when you have something that is a book, ebook, whatever, get it published in different places. Right now, you can go to free eBooks and free-ebooks.net, in case you can't see it at the top of the screen, and click on the submit button, and you can submit a book. The rights are such that when you publish it there, you don't get paid for it, but at any time you decide that that's worth something, or you're sending, you're going to go land a big deal and you have to remove it, we just remove it. So it's there. Most people don't, though. They have something they want to share, and they put it up there. So all the books you see on free ebooks were submitted in that way. And there's a few other things where the staff have found books, but great. What are you showing us now?
I hit the ad by mistake.
Okay.
I wanted to show you one of the books. Boring is Good. It's published 4 days ago. It's already got 25 downloads.
Right.
And and there's a book description and no comments yet, but it had somebody rated already as a 5-star. So I just wanted to show people, particularly authors, that there's this great opportunity. We have, how many people are members of free-ebooks? Warren?
Well, right now there's about 5 million.
5 million.
Yeah.
And we send out the newsletter to a couple million every month or week. Right, and so you have the opportunity to be one of the books that gets featured and presented to a huge group. We also do newsletters for very specific groups like romance or science fiction or health. And in that case, if you're in that category, we've got lots of different categories. here's best books on diabetes, for example, you have the opportunity to be positioned in front of a lot of people who are excited about your topic, and it's a real good real good strategy to take part in. Just get your books up on the site.
If you're going to be doing other things with the book, and you start out by getting it published here, you've got all the people it's been exposed to, but you also start getting things you can quote. If you use our promotions and whatnot and get it up to where you've got thousands of copies downloaded, now you can show that to a traditional publisher, or the deal you're trying to make to start a podcast, or whatever you're doing. It adds to your resume. And I'll tell you, there's nothing like being a published author to change your career in anything you do. I helped a whole lot of people with their books, getting them known using online marketing. And then I decided to write the book about Twitter. I got myself a co-author, so the material was easy to put together. We just talked about what to put in it, and it kind of wrote itself. And we talked to a whole lot of people on Twitter, and had thousands of people involved. And we gave away a copy of the book. We didn't use free ebooks back then, but we had 3,500 people download the book for free and give us their comments on it. And then when the book came out, instant bestseller, because everybody wanted to buy a copy. They were involved in it, and they told their friends. And it was the first book about Twitter, so that helped. And it ended up selling about 10 times as many copies as what I had estimated. And thanks to the wonders of modern printing, we were able to fulfill all those orders. But when we started out, I didn't know that it would be thousands of copies. But I got to tell you, in that process, when a case of books came and I opened it up and I saw my book, it didn't matter that I'd been involved with bestsellers that have sold 1 million copies. This one had my name on the front, and it sure felt good. And then I started giving it away, and that even was better. And then I would speak someplace and someone says, "Can I buy a copy of your book?" And they'd hand me money. That part I really liked. That was pretty good. Or our company needs some help with implementing this. Can you help us? And that led to several contracts there. And it was just having the book changed everything. I've now been interviewed 2,000 times. It's that, and some of it I produce. So I've done 2,000 podcasts now, and that all started when people started asking me because I was the author of a book.
Right. Yeah, that credibility is absolutely massive. And I just want to show one book here that it was in the health field, and they've got over 1,200 downloads over the last couple of years, 4-star reviews, and they probably did nothing to promote the six-pack guide. It's pretty much all probably been traffic from the site, but the more you can do to get people to the site, it's a third-party site, gives huge credibility to you when that happens, and then you can go to the publisher and say, "Hey, I've got 1,200 people that are following me. I've got 12,000 people that are following me, or that have downloaded my book, and we've created this community. I've got a Facebook group on fitness, which has, 1,500 members or 10,000 members or whatever you grow it to." But the idea being, when you can show that you've got this community built, and then you go to the publishers, they're interested. If you have no community, they don't care.
Right. Well, and of course the credibility is there. Also the traffic, getting people to try your Facebook group or whatever, because it's mentioned in the book probably, and you give people any excuse to have them give you their email address, and you can stay in touch with them. You find out that most of us are on email lists that we don't particularly want to be on. But the difference is when you start getting people who say, "I like what you do." I told people I was doing this today, and last night on Twitter, somebody said, "I like your style. You're not like other people." Right. I don't know what he did, but boy, did I feel good. I have a style? I didn't know.
Yeah, that's right. The feedback is something that really helps a lot too. So Stan in Kenya my buddy Stan in Kenya. We met there when I was there a few years ago. Asked a question. You just mentioned, Warren, about writing articles that get featured on Medium, big magazines like Entrepreneur, Ask Men, and so on. What's your advice on getting onto those platforms?
Well, it depends on what they are. Medium, you go to Medium and sign up for an account and then write. And they have an editor, and it's published and you're done.
So that's easy.
So big magazines like Entrepreneur is mostly has most of its readership online now, and they pay some people to write. They also accept articles from other people. So it's a difference. If you want to get paid as a writer, you can by getting known. It's the same as the advice I've been giving you. Write an ebook, make it good, upload it to free ebooks, let the people know that you're an author when you apply to write for them, and have samples of what you've written. So when you've written 200 articles online and you point to them, somebody's going to, first of all, you don't even have to ask whether or not they're going to look at them. They're going to look at your LinkedIn profile. They're going to look at other social media that you have, whether you have a website that's your name, whether you have books on Amazon. That's the kind of research somebody's going to do if they're deciding to hire you today. And so if you're doing it for the money, that's possible. But to be a good writer, you have to write a lot. So get in the habit of writing something every day. And today is so easy. When you get done, you hit publish and it's live and the whole world can see it.
And I would suggest that every time you write an article for Medium, for example, you usually have a little author's bio that goes along with it. And in the author's bio, say, he's the author, and we'll just use what I've got up here, Six-Pack Guide. He's the author of Six-Pack Guide for summer. And here's the link if you want to go download it for free. And now you're driving traffic to something that is helping you create your community, right? So people go, they get the book. In the book, you tell them if you want to contact me and everything else, you can do that through my Facebook group. Now they've joined the Facebook group. And then you can say, hey, I've got 1,200 people that have downloaded my book. I've got 1,200 people that have joined my Facebook group. I've got this, I've got that. And now all of a sudden you're creating this perception of a movement, right? Because you really want to, you really have a mission. This guy has a mission, giving six-pack abs for summer, and that's your mission. And whatever your book is about and you're writing about, that's your mission. And you want to create a community around that. And once you show people that that's happening, you could do a podcast on six-pack abs, for example, and you're going to get feedback. That's going to help you improve, and you're going to be able to show that to other people. And it's not you. Like if it was on your website, you would go, 10,000 downloads in the last year or whatever, and everyone's going, yeah, right. He just put that number up. But you have no control over the number that shows up on places like free-ebooks.net. So that becomes like real and true.
Right. You didn't fake it on those kind of numbers. But,
right.
You mentioned something about creating the perception, and I just wanted to mention that's true. You have to create the perception. And you want them to create a perception of something that is true, but it doesn't just get there. You may be the best six-pack abs guy on earth, but if you haven't written a book or published something online, people don't know about it. That's a huge thing that has changed in my lifetime. When I learned about selling and what to do, or me even going back to as a child, you'd go door to door and sell something if you wanted to make some money. Average week, there'd be several people that came by our house trying to sell us something. That's different today. And I say, why bother? When I started selling, they said, go out to this business park and go into every business. Gosh, we were doing that up in the 70s and the 80s. But, by the time we got at the internet, there's millions of people that want what you need. And so you just take care of what people want get people what they want, and you don't have to worry about talking them into anything. But it is your responsibility as an author to do that. So, and I came up with one other good tip. Good morning, Dwayne. And one other tip for you: if you want to make it really easy to start writing, find a group. Let's use Six Pack Abs again. Find a group on Facebook that is talking about, how to have the best six pack, and then find somebody asking a question, because in every group, over half of the people there are just starting. I'm sure you've seen that with podcasts, Scott. You go on a Facebook group and most people say, I need to get my podcast started. And so the predator way to do it is, hey, I got something to sell you. Come see me. You don't need to do that. You go on there and you say, well, here's the answer to your question. Somebody asked a question that is very easy for you to answer. The FAQs. Used to be we tried to avoid the FAQs, frequently asked questions, because that's just a problem. Today, I look back at the time when people would call my brick and mortar business and ask what our hours are or what are directions to get there. And I realized those were people who already had an intention to buy. They wouldn't have bothered to call if they didn't have the intention to buy. I knew it back then, but the difference is now I'm going like, wow, you really cherish those people. And online there's a lot more of them. The way you find those people is by being helpful and friendly. So, I mean, go to my Twitter feed and ask me a question. I'm going to answer it. Everything somebody asks me a direct question, I try to answer. Not because I think that that's going to captivate them and sell them something or whatever, because that's who I am. I want to answer people's questions. And
it took me just all of 5 seconds to find a whole pile of groups that had to do with six-pack abs. So just continuing on that example, it's really easy to find already made communities. And I totally agree with your...
Well, nobody's going to look at you or me with that photo up.
That's right. And I didn't know that was the photo on this one. It was just the one I picked because they had a little thing at the bottom that said... with the pain you feel today will be the strength you feel tomorrow. And I thought, that was pretty good. And
well, I teach on Twitter, use search. Facebook search sucks, but on Twitter, you can search for a keyword, a location, and a question mark, and you will get somebody about it.
These guys have 6,000 members, so it's not hard to find.
Yeah, and so you could read through here and find some questions. But on Twitter, you can actually use a question mark. Use a question mark, space, and then a question mark, and you'll get only tweets that have a question mark in them. So only people that are asking questions. So there are so many places where people are asking questions. Quora, QUORA.com. You go there and people post questions and you answer them. All sorts of forums, Reddit, whatever, any topic you can imagine. And if you think you've got a topic that won't have anything online and you're too lazy to go check it yourself, please send me a tweet. I'll be happy to show you 3 places that you missed, because it's just so many. Amazon. The reason I wrote a Twitter book is I went on Amazon, typed in search the word Twitter, and got the name of a bird in a children's book, and that's all that existed. That's how I know I had the first book. I said, we can put together a book and put her up there. I wanted to be able to say I had the first book about Twitter. And so in early 2008, did that. I got somebody to help me write the book. We started doing shows like this. I did a podcast, and I started talking about it everywhere on Twitter. And, at the time decided to do it, I probably had a couple hundred followers on Twitter. And it was mostly because I'd followed people and they'd followed me back. I didn't have some big presence of people wanting to follow me and they found out I was on Twitter or Facebook or whatever. But after we did that, not only did I have a big Twitter following, but I also got, I had so many people wanting to be my friend on Facebook. I think it was double whatever the limit is on friends. And that meant that they were getting rejected. So I actually had to put some effort into clearing that out. So my real friends, as they got on Facebook, could find me. LinkedIn, big following there. It's always been whatever I do, I offer something, and it's a real simple trick. You offer something of value and let somebody respond just because they want to know who you are and what you're up to, and they will. But they've got to see value. If you post on Twitter, Warren, can you help me get some money? I'm going to tell you, yeah, I'll tell you how to make money. I'm not going to send you a check because, I have plenty of places to send my money already. I don't need to know about somebody who's in Nigeria and poor. I feel for them. I can't help them all. But I really can help them better by finding work. One, stop begging for money online. I can say that now because I'm not answering a person. I try to be a little bit more polite when I'm answering. But anything you want, you can find an answer to. Well, I've had a rough life, blah, blah, blah. I'm going, okay, well, there's an answer to that. I don't have all the answers. That's not what I'm here to say. But to be successful in life, you need to determine that whatever it is you want, there's an answer for it. And there is. On the internet, there is a group talking about anything. So go join that group, help out somebody else. By the way, better to give than receive. It feels so much better to help out another person than as good as it is for you to say, Warren, you got great style. I love that. But if I help you, then I feel really good.
Awesome. Warren, we come to the end of our time together. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day. Really appreciate everything that you contribute. And there was lots of nuggets. So thank you very much for that. And everybody, thank you for joining us. It's been wonderful having you once again. Make sure that you join us every week. We're going to be at the same time. Hit the like, share, subscribe, hit the bell if you're on YouTube, and tell your friends so you don't miss any of these interesting episodes. We're going to be talking to authors and people that help authors sell books moving forward. That's our goal, is help you find books that you can read and enjoy at free-ebooks.net. And if you're an author, our mission is to help you grow a community so that you can get your book out there and change the world, because that's what it's all about. So thanks for joining us, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Oops.